Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Charlie Mike, hosted by me, Mike Buchanan. Hey, listen, everybody, I want to talk to you real quick. Thank you so much for subscribing and for hitting the likes and for commenting. Well, those of you that do comment, we really need your support by commenting down below. So even if you only watch this video for maybe like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, because that's about the average that we get is about 5 to 7 minutes, because I can see all those things. I see you. Okay. Hey, just comment down below. Leave us a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. It really just helps support this channel so we can get this out to more and more veterans, because we do have some pretty good information for those of you that do watch us religiously. And thank you to those that do. I really do appreciate it. Listen, today we have a guest that is from the PTSD Foundation of America. He is a local, you are the veteran coordinator locally, correct?
Correct.
Or one of them, at least?
Okay. One of them, yes.
Okay. All right. His name is Kenneth Olson. He's going to be talking to us today about the PTSD Foundation of America, kind of what it is, what does it do, what does it have to offer? Because, you know, I like to talk about things that are alternative. I can't speak today. Alternative to things like the VA, because I like to keep it open and honest. So, Kenneth, why don't you take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I'm a combat veteran from the Army. Was a combat engineer. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq. I have about 24 finds, and about half of them are found the wrong way. So I'm very expertise when it comes to finding explosives the wrong way.
Yeah,
and I don't think the Army liked that. I was medically retired, and I fell down into a deep hole trying to find out what I wanted to do more with my life, because I gave 1 in 20 out of the Army, but they didn't like that. So I met my demons in dark hole, and lucky enough, my wife said, hey, you should go back and try to do something with mental health to help other veterans, because I always knew it was easier to talk to veterans when I was going through a bad time. So I decided to go back to school for psychology and go from there. I recently graduated with BS with psychology and addiction studies, and that lets me get into the field I'm doing now. I'm vet coordinator with PTSD Foundation of America. We are helping veterans with mental health on the outreach side up here in the DFW area. The foundation is Camp Hope is down in Houston, where it's a 6 to 9 month program, or it's like a residential program. Veterans go down there, do 6 to 9 months handling their mental health from their combat scenarios from a peer-to-peer level. No clinical setup. We use a third party for clinical when it has to be a clinical setting to help dig in deep. But once you're on Camp Hope's grounds for the 6 to 9 months, they are veterans of their own that's been through the program, the combat MOS. So we have the acknowledge to say, yeah, we know where you've been at. We've been in the same scenario. I was there a couple years ago. So there's a real camaraderie built around there for the organization. The veteran has not to pay nothing out of pocket to get there, to sit there, feed, eat, everything's paid for. And once they complete the program, they come back up, and say somebody's from Dallas and they complete it, they link up with our outreach for the area, and we follow up. We still help with the track, help guide them when they're in more toughness, because you can work on it for 9 months, but as soon as you throw them back into the real world, something might come up. So instead of letting it get too bad, let's link up, let's try to keep it to the minimum and let lives be lived again and help with families. We have a family coordinator up in the area that has so many resources and helps with families, from whether children to wives to girlfriends. We try to build on everything possible to make sure every avenue is covered, so there's not a slip in the crack, or, okay, you might have a bad day, your anger is getting out of the way. We can help on both sides. Let the family express their feelings to somebody, as well as you're expressing your feelings to a veteran. And usually it's never intertwined. We don't tell people what's going on from other side sources, so no one has to worry about a paper trail.
Yeah, that's cool. So that was the show. He just told us everything that I was going to ask. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on. It was a real pleasure.
Went a little longer than I anticipated.
Nah, man, you're good. I know you're a little nervous. Everybody gets a little nervous when they get in front of microphones and equipment, right? It's a little daunting, isn't it?
I mean, you also just set people on a view for about 4 to 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, but that's it's just average. I think it's the attention spans, man. This isn't like something that all right, here's the thing. Let's talk about this real quick because now it's gotten brought up. And now I feel like I need to defend it. The whole reason I do long form content, listen up, okay? Listen. The whole reason I do long form content, okay? I could do short form content, but the whole reason I do long form content is because you never know what's going to come out in the conversation that is going to change somebody's life. Right? I mean, it could be the smallest detail of things. Like you and I could just be sitting there talking to each other about cheeseburgers or something, okay? And as veterans, we naturally gravitate towards other subjects. And then all of a sudden we go from cheeseburgers. Remember this one time that I was really messed up with PTSD and I was eating a cheeseburger? And then I'm like, PTSD? I have PTSD too. Well, last time I had PTSD, I went and got this treatment or whatever, and this worked really well. What's this treatment? I've never heard of this thing. Do you see how like all of a sudden now we've naturally... It takes a while to get there, though,
Veterans bounce around many things. Like, yes, I just gave a whole spew or whatever it was to what we do. But like we're talking about now, we bounce around.
Sure.
The attention span of a veteran?
Is it like a goldfish?
Yeah. We bounce around many things.
Yeah.
Like my service dog here is saying, he just moved. I already think about, okay, why is he moving?
Yeah, let's introduce your service dog. What's your service dog's name?
So my service dog is named Father Kelly. So he just chills, man. He's the best thing ever.
I love that when you told me that, I was like, what? That's not a real thing.
Yeah, it is. It is a very interesting name.
Yeah, it is an interesting name. I still can't talk today. It is an interesting name. I also told him that he should get like a collar that is just like a priest collar too, because his name is Father Kelly. So he should get, if anyone wants to make his service dog a 550 corded black collar with just a little bit of white right here on the 550 cord collar, he's open for suggestions and to put it on Father Kelly.
Always taking donations.
Yes, he's willing to put it on Father Kelly, and then we can literally have a priest dog, which would be awesome.
Hey, believe it or not, even though he's my service dog and he only works for me and whatnot, when I do groups with other veterans and whatnot,
sure,
it's the best way to get veterans to open up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's completely disarming. I mean, if you think of it from a psychological standpoint, right? Pets, dogs. Well, most of the time, dogs are disarming. Sometimes not, depending on your history with canines. But yes, I mean, I think it's just very disarming. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, you just walk them right into the situation, and boom, everybody melts.
Yep, and it's like anybody. No matter what, kids, everything.
Yep.
There's just that natural gravitation. Like, oh my God, it's a dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's also natural gravitation to like, I feel like I need to put on a better face, I think, right? Or almost like I need to almost be the caretaker again.
And it's a cheer factor.
Yes.
Well,
it gives you a sense of purpose again.
Yeah. But even when it's not your dog to worry about, when you see a dog, it's like, oh, I remember something. Or that dog's going to know I'm not feeling well.
Yeah.
So and it's very proven in horses.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean where they empathize with your emotional state? Yes. Yeah, totally, absolutely. I know my dog at home. She's been with me so long; she's just neurotic now. So I mean, like, she's super suspicious, and every noise in the house she has to bark at, right? Because she's trying to go and defend the house. And I was like, dang, I used to be like that, didn't I?
And they are, whether it's your pet, whether it's your service dog, or whatever, they are a resemble of what you are.
Yeah.
Like right now, he's calm. For the most part, I'm calm. I'm a little shaky here.
Such a good host.
But
pat on the back.
But I still have awareness. Like he sat up for a minute and whatnot. I said, I'm paying attention to your room here. So so he knows. It's a resemble. And we can, as a veteran of our own, and what we learned, our tactics and our thought process of tactical situations and whatnot, when we see somebody else doing it and whatnot, we can relate, or we can like, well, I don't do that no much more. Can I help let him know this? Or like, wow, I didn't realize I didn't do that much anymore. And it builds the confidence in us, letting us know that we are not defined by our mental health, no matter if it's combat or just stress. We're not defined by it because we learned small tricks that we never thought we would ever learn.
I like that you said you were not defined by our mental health. I could not agree with you more. I hate, and I mean literally hate, okay, when people try to define myself. I guess I can only speak for myself, but really when they try to define others, especially in our ilk, right, or that are other veterans, when we try to get defined as like a mental health condition, right? Like they're like, oh, well, you have PTSD, so obviously you're going to have X, Y, and Z problems, right? Like I legitimately hate that. And you know what else I hate? I hate when they say that you're having a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. Like, I swear to you, if one more person in the world says that to me, I'm going to flip out.
Well, what's defined as an abnormal situation?
Yes, exactly, right? And that's the biggest thing is like, you have no idea. All you know about is a textbook definition of what normal situation is or a normal reaction is, right? And or what the abnormal situation is. For us, that was very normal. It was a very normal day for a lot of us. And so, like, you can't sit there and say it's an abnormal day.
And that's one of the benefits about what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, I have the understanding what we consider normal because we've sat through it so long. Now, coming to, like, we're at a thing, we can probably go outside and sit in the same abnormal situation, or however you want to textbook it, call it, and still have that conversation without having a doctorate or a master's where all they know is a textbook, because not everything's in a textbook.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that though that's something that I found when I was a peer support specialist here at the VA is that it takes both, right? It takes both spectrums to really do a full heal on someone.
Yes.
You can only get so far with textbooks. You can only get so far with professional psychology, with professional methodologies, to where you also have to introduce some sort of non-textbook methodologies to break people through the barriers that they come up with, and especially people with PTSD, right? I mean, like, we put up barriers like it's going out of style, like literally like we're fortifying a base that's about to get hit by a zombie horde. So, I mean, it's crazy.
And that's one of the downfalls when it comes to the VA or any type of counseling sessions, is because we sit and we do counseling. We're scheduled for an hour, but it's always like about 45 minutes.
Yes.
Because the counselor has to have paperwork, because that's a different story. But once we leave that room, and even if we got into talking stuff, once we leave that room, we are hit with real world problems. Like, oh, now I got to drive home. I might see trash. I might see wire. And we're just amplified even more. Now we're on alert a lot more than what we should be. And that's where I will come and play, because I'm a peer-to-peer. Let's talk about it. You want to talk an hour and a half back home on the phone? Let's do it. Because only the traditional counseling can get you so far. They don't recognize once you get outside of that door. Once you walk out that door, they're not your problem.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick too, right? Because I think it also leads into like your program that you guys have called Camp Hope, right? is let's talk about this. I always am a huge advocate for inpatient therapy. I'm a huge advocate for inpatient therapy. And the reason why is also just because of the situation you just kind of talked about, right? Is where, let's say that I do go to outpatient therapy, okay? And I do bring up some topics that are tough for me. And then it literally makes me even worse. Okay, in that moment, or at least for the next couple of hours, okay, until I can kind of center myself to where, like, I am freaking out. I am looking at everything. Now I'm super hyper vigilant on the way home, stuff like that. That's why I recommend to veterans who are like really dealing with it and really deep in it, right, to go inpatient first and then start doing outpatient therapy, right? Because I equate it to, I say this all the time, but I equate it to having cancer, okay? If you have an advanced stage of cancer, they're gonna go in and try to cut out as much as possible surgery-wise, right? Then you're gonna go transfer to chemotherapy, which is gonna be more targeted, outpatient kind of type therapy. And so I equate it to doing the same thing. Is like an inpatient program just puts you in a very, very safe place, a safe and sterile environment for you to be able to deal with the tougher demons, so that when you do become hypervigilant, there's nothing really there to be hypervigilant about, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in that controlled environment where they've controlled a lot of those triggers, where you're not engaged in all of that stuff. And so it becomes a more relaxing place to try to get better.
In a perfect world, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But not everybody can just pull up their lives for, say, we'll say 16 weeks, because that's a normal outpatient thing. Not everybody can do that. So that's where lucky enough what I do as that peer-to-peer, and what you did in the peer support and whatnot, we have that more flexibility. You might want to do intensive outpatient and whatnot, and you might be doing, but there's that break before you get back to work or before you see your family. There's somebody to reach out to.
Yeah.
So you can kind of recollect yourself, even though it might be, and you don't even have to discuss the bad stuff.
Sure.
Like, oh yeah, I'm being triggered. I did this. We don't even have to do that. Talking to other veterans, it's natural. We talk about like, you remember this time when we did this? It might be bad when other people are listening to it, like, but to us, there's a laughter in there. There's a camaraderie to be like, yeah, dude, that sucked. But all right, now I'm better. Let's go back and tackle what real life is.
I like what you said, where you're like, okay, well, not everybody is able to do that. Understood. Okay. Still disagree, but it's okay.
I mean, you have all right to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course I do. We were just having this conversation offline about having differences of opinion and things, right? And then that being an okay thing to do. Not necessarily in society these days is it okay, but we as veterans, we always agree that it's okay to not see on the same page. We're way deeper than usually blood. Our blood bleeds the same color, kind of thing, right? So no, I mean, what I meant by disagree, I agree with you that I think that there are moments where it's like very difficult, where it's an added stress, right? To try to take away from your like entire life. But what I always say is, okay, let's think of it as like if I were a lifeguard, okay? If I were a lifeguard, I have to. Do you know one of the first things that they teach you? I don't know if you were ever in Boy Scouts. Were you ever in Boy Scouts?
No.
Okay, so it's saying nah, like it's like this huge bad thing. So listen, Boy Scouts is not that bad. Okay, I was in Boy Scouts for forever. No one touched me.
You mean a cult?
No, listen, no, it's not a cult. Okay, so in Boy Scout, I went to BSA lifeguards. One of the hardest lifeguard trainings you can go through. Okay, in just the general society. All right. And so when I went through BSA, one of the first things that they taught us was how to basically curl up your thumb and kidney shot somebody. Like literally just like, boom, kidney shot. And I was like, why are you teaching us how to kidney shot a person, a human being, right? Like this is wild. And then they said, because if you can't save yourself, you can't save anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're ineffective. And so I guess that's what I really equate it back to, okay? Is that, yeah, I understand that you have all this stuff on your plate, and I understand that you have all these things that you're supposed to be taking care of, but you can't take care of Jack appropriately until you've learned how to take care of yourself appropriately. And so I guess that's why I always push so hard for it, is because I'm like, you're literally just getting by, I feel like, right? Like, and I think that's how a lot of us felt. Like, I know that's how I felt before I got help, right? Okay. I felt like I was scraping by, and I was like just doing bare minimum to like really keep head above water kind of thing.
Okay. That sounds all good and whatnot.
Yeah.
So why don't you reach out to the VA and have it to where they pay a little extra money for people to survive?
Oh, okay.
So
talk to me about that.
When you talk about, okay, let's do inpatient. We'll go with your theory, like, oh, we should do inpatient again. What about the families?
What about you mean like the codependency that happens with the families?
No. What about the financial burden and that plays on everybody? So when we're in the military and I grew up where if the Army wanted you to have family, they would give you one. And whatnot. I get that and all that thing. But we have lives. We have relationships. We've been married. You've done that and whatnot. Not every marriage survives, but people that do survive and whatnot, it's an added stress and whatnot. And we are taught to be a good leader. We protect what's ours. And even in the military, the only way you succeed is if your team succeeds and whatnot. Okay, you get out of the military, whether it's on your own accord or they forced you out, however it is. But so you have a family. What's your priority? It ain't about you. It's about your family.
Of course.
So if you don't think your family will survive without you for a little bit, you're not going to do something that takes care of yourself first.
You're not going to survive with your family.
That can be an argument.
I love that there's it's such a hard thing to really it's a great conversation to have, right? Because there's so many factors on each side. Okay. And I think that this is exactly what a normal veteran dealing with these kinds of things would actually be having that conversation in their brain, is like, I know that I need to be combat effective. Let's just call it combat effective. Yeah. I know I need to be combat effective. So I know I need to do certain things for myself to be combat effective. But I also know that puts me out of combat for, or out of the situation for a set amount of time. And can I afford to do that? But I kind of have to. And it just keeps going back and forth, and we kind of feel caught in the middle, right?
Always. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm suicidal. I've been down that road and whatnot. I have life insurance on my hand. I've thought about financial burden. Well, I'm causing a lot more problems than I can be.
Then we're actually worth. Right? Then we're actually worth.
And I thought about it. That $400,000 is awful nice. My wife will be set for a little bit.
But would she?
That goes to the other question.
See, and that's
And that brings up the question.
Really?
Would she be fine? Would she blame herself if something happened?
Yeah, so see, for me, I'm on the opposite spectrum too. So I don't. Okay, so the brain either goes when we get pushed to our absolute limits as human beings. A lot of us know that our brains get pushed to either one of two ultimate decisions, right? And it's either suicide or homicide. I'm the homicide one. I just want to just rip everyone's throats out. But I never have an active plan, and I never really view it that way. But that's how I get when I get pushed to my absolute edge, right? Is I get very much like that. And so I do understand what it is. It's almost like having the same feeling of suicide, but it's just I don't want to take myself out of the world, right? But I'm willing to do something that's gonna put me in a different world that basically takes me out of the world.
Pretty much.
You know what I'm saying? Like you get thrown in jail, you're basically out of the world.
As long as your family's set, right?
As long as your family is set,
as long as
yes.
your family's taken
or
care
safe.
of.
Or safe. Set and safe, yes.
What and that's how we kind of in the military we've learned that way. It's like as long as your team's good, somebody else can replace you. Something else can keep moving forward. So
let's talk. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to talk about that because I think you make a really good point, right? Is that someone else that is a military mentality, right? And I think a lot of us are really stuck in our military mentalities, but at the same time, I don't think that we understand that most of those military isms, those mentalities that we were, I'm going to say it, we're programmed with, okay? Is that's the sheer fact of the matter, is that we were programmed with it for a particular reason.
Oh, of course.
To perform a particular role.
Of course.
Right? And so it's not real. It's not as realistic as we would like to think that it is, even if it is what our core value is now, is that programming, right? But sometimes I think we have to take a deeper look at that because you're not just replaceable anymore, right? Like now you're in the civilian world again. You are not replaceable. The knowledge that you have, the things that you have to offer, it doesn't matter if you have the tiniest speck of information to offer, okay? That tiny speck of information could be the last speck that someone else needed. It does. It matters. Absolutely. Your story matters, okay? Even if your life is in shambles, okay? Even if you have made all the wrong decisions, people can learn from all of your wrong decisions. There's something to be learned from your story. So you are still valuable.
Now, the conversation we're having about this, imagine if a non-veteran was sitting across the table from you. Yeah. How would you feel? I'm meaning in a broad generation. To me, if I was hearing that and say I was not where I'm at today, I would be mad. Yeah. I would be like, you don't know what you're talking about. That's wrong. Of course. That's wrong. But being a veteran and hearing from a different veteran, we can understand. Yes. We got the mind thing, you know what? He's right. He might not be where I'm at right now. I might be worse off, or he's for better mentally mindset, but he has a point. Yeah. So going back to what I do and what I do, peer support and all that, being able to push that and like show like, hey, let's change your thinking for a minute. Let's look at a different avenue of what you're going through. Your mental health, it doesn't define you. What you're doing right now defines you, and whatnot. Your family
actions
defines you.
Yes, your actions define you.
But if you have somebody that's not a veteran or even understanding of what you have gone through, or even a tiny speck of it, would just set you off even more. You don't want to hear it from somebody who's never been there. Yeah, I'm firsthand of that. I hated counselors like, I know what you're going through. You never been deployed. Oh no, I hear stories. You don't know what I'm going through. You know the stories. I mean, I've been in that boat. But hearing from other veterans say, that's why I'm having a conversation with you right now without getting heated, because
you should just get heated. It would make for much better content.
It probably would all been cut out. They've been like, the last 20 minutes we had to get killed.
I'm kidding.
It pours, and veterans have that mindset, whether they were National Guard, whether they're reservists, or whether they went to Kuwait. I know we pick on Kuwait a lot because it's not a deployment.
Well, we pick on the National Guard more.
Wow,
good old nasty girls.
I don't know Kuwait. I think I pick on Kuwait a lot more.
Yeah, tent city and all.
I was deployed. No, you weren't, dude.
Yeah. No, but it's not really.
Even though they know what it's like to be away from their family and whatnot. Yeah. Whether it was 6, 9, 12, 15, 2 years, it just whatever. But we still had that connection because you had that military background.
Yeah, you shared the same suck.
So it's easier to have that conversation. And it goes to the family coordinator that we have up for the DFW area and whatnot. She's a veteran. She's a spouse to a veteran and all that. But she has a good understanding of what it's like being on the opposite shoe to just being a veteran. And she's very well entwined of how to handle the family side of veterans who might be pushing the buttons too hard or the limits too much. She has both sides. So she kind of understands, okay, this is what they do, but she can compartmentalize that, and let's look at it from the family side. Let's look at it being the spouse or the children and whatnot. And that's always good, because we can talk about, oh, we need to take care of the veterans, we need to do this, we need to do this. What about the family? One of the worst things about PTSD is we do not recognize that we give our families PTSD when we're having an episode or we're pushing so hard. Our children, our spouse, and all that sees and takes on their mental health by trying to put up with it or whatnot.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast too over the years with random guests that have come on, and we've kind of gotten into this kind of topic of discussion. It's called codependency is what it's called. Yeah. So like from a psychological standpoint, it's codependency. Yeah, that is one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to veteran care, really, right? Is that I even tell the VA this all the time, right? Even whenever we're in meetings or whatever with VA stuff, I tell the VA this all the time is like, you're so adamant about helping veterans overcome all of these obstacles. Super cool. Awesome. Love you. Okay. But at the same time, you're not thinking about the aftermath. Mm-hmm. And the aftermath is I get fixed. I go home. And this happened with me too. When I went inpatient therapy, I got fixed. Okay. To an extent to where I felt, let's say 90% more like the person I was before I even went into the military, kind of thing. Like I felt good. I felt centered. I felt valued. I had my own self-worth and value again. When I went home, my wife was so used to my kids, my chain of command, everybody was so used to the way that I used to be. All right. That it was almost unacceptable for me to be happy.
Oh yeah.
And so that is the kind of codependency that we're talking about. And so then I go, okay, well, let's say the VA or anyone, okay, let's say anyone that's offering services fixes someone or fixes them, quote unquote, right? Or helps them figure out things to get them on a better path, all right? Great, but if you don't put everyone else on the same path, they're either A, going to leave everyone else, okay, and they're going to start all over again because that person is not good for their recovery, okay? Or they're going to drag them right back to where they used to be in the first place. And all the work that you spent doing with that person is all going to be for naught.
And that's one of the benefits about the foundation and whatnot is that we concentrate on the veteran, but we also concentrate on the families. Because like you said, you can't fix one and then expect everything better. And not everybody wants to, oh, you're fixed. Let's just start from here. That's not possible.
Sure.
Our mind's not that way. So being able to handle families in conjunction, let them know, hey, this is what's going on. Help them find resources that if we can't provide a resource or we can't help you, we have so many community partners up in this area that we can get you to a resource that can be beneficial.
Yeah.
You want religious counseling or faith-based counseling and whatnot, I have a resource since we don't do counseling on the clinical side of it and whatnot. Okay, you're going through substance use and whatnot. You need a detox center. All right, we got you covered. We have an organization that helps do that. We have organizations that do it for free for veterans and their families. We don't have to worry about money and whatnot. That's very awesome. A lot of other organizations or even aspects can't offer family help, or it's paid. There has to be some payment to it to keep you getting that help. One of the organizations, the foundation that we do, it's free. Or if we have community partners that does it.
Yeah, I love that. I guess one of my dream ideas or jobs or one of these things that I'll do before I die maybe is I've always want to start like a nonprofit, but just for spouses, just for veteran spouses, because I just don't think that there's enough. Like there's not enough. Like there's some kid organizations that take care of military kids because obviously kids, because I think that people, when they go to start nonprofit or agency, this is going to sound bad, but I don't really care. But when people go to start nonprofits, sometimes I really think they go, oh, well, is this going to be marketable? Like, can I actually sell this product? Can I get money? Can I get donations for this particular topic? Veterans are a really easy one because everyone's like, oh, I want to donate to a veteran.
Everybody wants to help the veterans.
Everyone wants to help the veteran. But then when it comes to like, hey, will you donate for veteran spouses? They're like, yeah, but is it a veteran? And so it's like, no, but like these are the people that help take care of those veterans, man. So like these are the people that had to suffer more. I know that I put my wife through more heartache and problems because of the things that I had, like the PTSD and the problems and the hypervigilance and the craziness that just came out of my head. And she didn't deserve that, man. Like, she didn't deserve that. And she deserved to have resources available to her the same way that I would have had resources available to me to be able to get better and to deal with that and to cope with those kinds of things that were going on. So I don't know. That's my dream one day. One of these days.
I put my wife through so much stuff. It's second nature to her now. We go into a restaurant or whatnot. She knows I don't want to be on my door. And I'm trying to change it. I'm trying, but
it's because that study we talked about the other day,
when you're in a pattern and all that. Yeah. Well, you still need to send me that.
I know. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it for you.
And we train. It's not like we're training them intentionally. It's just the habits that they learn to make us comfortable. Because they don't want nothing to set us off. They want to enjoy the night we're out and whatnot. They don't want us to get to that mindset. Well, we were having fun, but now it's just dreadful being out. Let's go home. So, and we don't do it intentionally. It's just kind of second nature when things happen. So why not help them as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it comes out to that code. That's what codependency is someone else is trying to change the world around you to accommodate for the things that you're doing instead of holding you accountable for it. Because no one really wants to hold someone accountable that they feel like is sick, or dying, right? Have you ever noticed that? Like, if someone's dying, they're like, "Oh, you can do whatever you want," because you're dying. Because
we want to make you comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. We want to make you comfortable, so it's like whatever. But at the same time, like that's not the way that it is. Like, we're not necessarily dying from this condition, and we do need to be held accountable. I'll tell you, for me, that's what helped me get better from PTSD. I mean, I don't know what finally helped you get better or get you on a better track of or frame of mind, but for me, it was accountability. It was, well, I do this because of this. And they were like, no. If you're going to sit there and lie, that's cool. But like, you can go do it by yourself. Like, you're not going to do it in this group kind of thing. And I'm like, what are you talking about, lie? And then everyone else will be like, why do you do this? And then just having like that whole being held accountable by other veterans as well, right? But being held accountable, I think, really shaped the way that I healed from that condition.
And that's one of the benefits about the foundation and doing outreach up in the area and whatnot is we're all veterans. So, and
you can sniff out the BS.
Everyone wants to call out that.
Yeah, that's fine. I can bleep that out. First person ever to cuss.
Want to call him? Oh, trust me, I've been sitting here thinking like
I know it's very difficult. Trust me, I cuss all the time. Like every other sentence, it's very difficult.
We want to call out that stuff.
Yes.
Like I've fired so many counselors, and I thought it was a bunch of crack. When we're going to do CBD, we're going to challenge your mind thinking, we're going to make you do prolong, we're going to make you go here. Okay. None of it worked at the time when I was sat into it. Well, now the VA kicked me away from it because all you're allowed to do is groups. You've been through the programs. Well, that's not beneficial to me. I want to kind of do it again. So, okay, I get it. I don't like groups. I don't like getting in there thing because a lot of times groups are just a damn contest to see who's bigger. And see, I didn't cuss.
I know, it's good. It's fine.
So I didn't like groups. So I started learning even though I was like, I didn't learn nothing. And I started like, okay, I'm going to do my way. I'm going to correct myself. Believe it or not, I'm using stuff I learned from prolonged CBT and all that from the stuff I said didn't work.
Yeah.
So now I do that. And now with that understanding and whatnot, you can tell somebody lying to you, oh, I do this because of this. No, you ain't.
Yeah, no, you don't, dude.
It makes yourself comfortable.
Yes.
You're going to do that. So being able to call somebody out, but do it in a setting that we know the place and time to call somebody out on and whatnot. Being a peer, doing peer groups and whatnot. I'm holding a peer group in Veteran Point in Roanoke starting November. It's calm. Veteran Point has got veteran stuff all the way around.
So you know Casey?
Oh, I know Casey.
Casey Brown's awesome. Casey Brown's been on the podcast. Yeah. Casey's been on the podcast. He's actually one of our most watched videos in this podcast.
I wonder why.
I will have to look. Now I'm going to have to link his video at the end of this.
He's very interesting.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
And believe
super
it or
nice
not,
guy.
We're on two different spectrums.
Yeah.
And when it comes to things, he has his thinking, I have mine, and we have our experience. But we meet in the middle.
Yeah.
We want to help veterans.
I can see that. Casey and I are pretty much on a very same spectrum. So
we'll discuss later. But Veterans Points, it's set up for a veteran. Yeah. You want to come out there and hang out? The story behind it's awesome. I mean, I didn't know about it until he told me. I was like, really? Yeah. I didn't know that. And whatnot. I don't want to say it because I don't have all the facts correct in my head. I just know it was donation and benefit and whatnot. All right, it's the most common place to be into. You want a whole group? Let's do it. Let's hang out. Let's talk and whatnot. It's got like 6 bathrooms.
Yeah.
For like a 500 square foot building.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
it's a super cool place. I honestly think that what you're doing is super cool. Your organization seems to be pretty cool. I know we haven't all worked together in the past, but it's just been, I think it really just depends on who's working and who's talking, right? I mean, like your community has to be. You seemed very chatty, so when we first talked, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a great contact.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're down to it. It's just like I have my guys from the foundation. We have our own crisis line for people call. Somebody's always on the can pick up that phone and talk, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
We've helped people that last month I talked to a veteran. He broke up with his girlfriend. I chatted for a good hour and a half because he just needed somebody to talk to. He didn't know what to do. He was lost in that moment and whatnot. We followed through to make sure he wasn't suicidal and all that. I was up to buy him an Uber to get him to the VA hospital that was 5 miles away.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to make sure he was somewhere safe and he had a roof over his head for the night until he could recollect his thoughts and go. Our crisis lines help everybody. We had a friend of mine get a call. Wanted to know about the congressman and whatnot because his friend he felt was done wrong because of why he got discharged from the Army. I mean, that's not our protocol. We don't do that, but we're not going to turn you away.
Sure.
We're going to chat. We're going to listen and whatnot. And we even have a team that follows up with you. You want to have the foundation reach out and follow up. We have a 9-line that we send to our outreach department, and they follow up and whatnot. It's like the whole chain of command all over again from the military. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure everybody's doing good. We don't want you call and we forget about you. It's not our objective. We want to make sure that we are always studying. With that being said, I've got some complaints about the veteran crisis line and whatnot.
Oh, this is going to be so good.
Oh, of course
it's going to be so good.
Somebody called the suicide hotline.
Yes.
Somebody had a plan and action thing.
Mm-hmm.
The VA wanted to take him because he was not abiding by his medication list. And whatnot.
Okay.
Then I had a vet. I know. Hold on.
Can we go one by one?
I mean, really not because you're about to take the last 20 minutes.
I am not going to take the last 20 minutes. Listen, let's go one by one. Listen, I'm going to say this before all the rest of these stories come out, okay? A lot of the stories that happen are not as accurate as you think that they are. And I think that a lot of people don't ever think about that at all. They always go, a veteran would not lie to me. Listen to me. 50% of us are basically just criminals. I mean, like, let's just be
a lot of
let's just be criminal. I'm just saying, let's just be honest, okay? Like, a lot of us are not as sound as we probably could be, okay? And I'm not saying that I'm not saying don't believe us, okay? That's not what I'm saying, because I'm one of those people too that makes complaints as well. I'm just saying that it's not always as extravagant of a story as it really is. Or
true.
And if it is, let's talk about this because I'm going to give you the rest of the time to talk about this. If it is something bad like that, okay, the first question that I always ask veterans is this: what did you do about it?
And that's what that's what I'm out to change because, yes, it might not be 100% truthful or whatnot. Mm-hmm. Being told that veterans get put on hold on the crisis line, or we get said, "I'll call you back in 2 hours." I can't verify that because that's very hard to verify unless you have the script in front of you that from the recording and whatnot.
Because maybe they were calmed down and then they were like, "Okay, I'm gonna go set things up for you." You know, like move. Yeah, pieces. So I'll
call you back.
Can I call you back in 2 hours, or do you want to stay on the phone? And they were like, "No, it's cool. You can call me back."
Like we can't verify.
You never know. You never know.
But for just the simple fact, of like that veteran, because the VA, if that's true, that the VA won't take him because he wasn't abiding by his medication.
Then that's a problem. If that's true.
If that's true, that's a problem because
it's an opportunity for change.
Where does it? Why couldn't let's get him into the thing? Let's hold him. You don't have to just observation. We did it in the basic training. Somebody thought suicidal. Guess what? We were post guard on him for next 24 hours until somebody else, a medical person, or we felt he was better or whatnot. So let's not complain about what should have been, it could have been, and all that. Let's try to find a way to change it.
Absolutely. Let's try to find a way to change it. And the thing is, that's why I asked that question, and I don't do it to be mean to people or to say, go fix your stuff. Okay. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that I don't understand how veterans have forgotten, okay, about what it's like to work for the government. Okay, because the government is bureaucratic and it runs on paper. If it didn't get written down, it never happened. And even if I know a lot of times we go to patient advocates, I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying this. I don't care. But I know that a lot of time we go to patient advocates all of the time.
They're not always the best.
They're never the best. They never are. I mean, I've gone to patient advocates myself, okay, at our own local place, and they haven't solved anything, okay? Yes. And they seem to be more involved with protecting the VA's interest than they are with protecting our own interests, which is not an advocate.
It's money.
I'm just saying, it's not an advocate, right? Yeah. Because an advocate should be, when you say the word advocate, you think this person is on my side.
Yeah, they're going to...
as much as they can be, okay? Yeah. As much as they can be, they're going to advocate for me, okay? Not for the opposite direction. Yeah. If you're going to call them that, don't call them a veteran advocate. Call them a veteran healthcare administration advocate, okay? Because then you know that they're on the side of the VHA, not you, okay? They're going to explain to you why you're wrong, which is ridiculous. But I'll tell you this. This is what I tell everybody. Regardless of whether they're going to solve your issue or not, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that they have to document everything.
Yep.
And when they do that, now there's a paper trail. Mm-hmm. If you go in and complain about Dr. Smith, I go in and complain about Dr. Smith, and 19 other people go in and complain about Dr. Smith. Guess what happens to Dr. Smith?
It brings it on the radar.
Yes.
Somebody's going to want to.
And Dr. Smith's going to get canned.
Yeah. And it goes to a lot of things. Like, we cannot change the VA, even if we go private.
Oh, we can if we'd all work together.
Yes, I'm not meaning
yes.
like it's not an overnight thing.
Yes.
Even if we go
no.
private sector and whatnot, it's still going to be the same thing.
It would be worse, private sector.
I think so, yes.
It would be so much worse.
And I'm going to get so much heat for that.
That's fine. But listen, it's going to be so much worse. I know I get riled up, but like it would be so much worse, and people just don't get that. Mm-hmm. It's already hard in the VA system, and just from behind the scenes, it's hard because it's really a socialist healthcare experiment that's been going on for like 100+ years.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But like the thing is, so it's already hard enough because it's a way of doing things that is not common to the way that we typically do things in our government system. And so it's already hard enough for them to run a system that doesn't fit. It's like trying to shove a square peg in a circle hole a lot of the times, right? And so like I get that, but if they privatized it, oh my God, could you imagine the nightmare?
Oh yeah, and because then we want to be like our nonprofit, the organization I work with, and whatnot. No one would want to work with us. Like right now, I'm talking to you. You work for the VA.
Yeah.
This is a VA podcast and whatnot. We're trying to figure out a way we can work together to benefit more veterans.
Yes, exactly.
And whatnot.
Exactly.
So that's awesome and whatnot. Like when I say it can't change, it can change. But instead of trying to change the VA, let's work on changing the small thing. Like say the crisis line, they put them on hold, or more than bring a crisis line. We'll talk about the VA wanted to help the gentleman that's not taking the abiding what they had to for the VA.
Sure.
Okay, well, let's change that. You say that he's not doing that. Doesn't mean you had to put him in inpatient and let him be part of the program for 6th floor or whatever it is here. But you can watch him until we call the organization. Let's find somebody who can help him instead of possibly making him another statistic.
I agree 1,000%. I cannot tell you how much I agree with you. I agree 1,000%, and it's exactly what we should be utilizing community partnerships for in the first place, right? Is community partnerships should be used to accommodate momentary periods, okay, that we don't have another option. Like we can't figure out how to do it ourselves, right? But we know that someone could step in for a couple of hours, okay, and basically entertain this person or take over for this while we go and do all these other things behind the scenes. I 1,000% agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. I just think that, you know, it's very important for us as especially our generation, right? Like our younger generation. It's so important for us because most of us just don't care anymore. We just don't care. We listen, I have to loop myself into that, so I'm dragging you with me, okay? I'm bringing you with me. Most of us, what I've seen is that we just get angry about things that aren't right. We expect more, which makes us entitled. You're not entitled to anything, FYI, okay? Unless you're a king, a queen, a prince, a princess, a lord, a lady, a duke, a duchess, or a baron or a baroness. If you weren't born with that title, you're not entitled to anything. You're very deserving of it. Right? But we also have to remain deserving of those things. We have to act right. We have to make sure that we do things in the right way. And we have to make sure that we're heard.
Still be there.
Yes, the military barons should still be there.
We should still have that common courtesy. It's like, yes, I might be having a
That's fine. Another bleep. This is going to be great.
But the person that's helping me or whatnot,
yes,
they might be having a bad day, or they're just plain out.
They could be. You're right. They could be just a blah person. You don't know.
And whatnot. So, okay, let's. The VA it's easier to blame the VA because everything's in the VA.
Sure.
And whatnot. Like you said, let's make reports on the individual that's doing it and whatnot. Okay. Hopefully, people that work for the VA, they'll tune into your channel and whatnot. They hear what I do and like the peer support and whatnot. I'm a phone call away and whatnot. We do groups. I got a coworker that's in Tarrant County that runs over there. I got another veteran coordinator in Rockwall. Our family coordinator covers all of North Texas with us and whatnot. And I work mobily. And that did not sound right. I'm a mobile worker. I work from home. I can be wherever you want me to.
Mowgli?
Yeah. Mowgli.
From the Jungle Book?
I guess.
That's Mowgli. I think that's Mowgli, not Mowgli.
But
yeah, that's Mowgli.
So
with a G.
We can get anywhere, and I'm always out to help veterans and whatnot. And that's my passion. I want to help other veterans to get to where I'm at right now. And I'm not the best. I still have my dark days and whatnot. But let's get somebody where they can get to have dark days, but still realize that that's not what everything's going to be for the rest of the life.
Sure.
And Vietnam veterans are perfect people to show this because when they came back, the VA wasn't that kind to them. A lot of them, they didn't have what we had coming. We have what we have today because of the Vietnam veterans.
Amen.
So,
amen.
They learn on their own how to cope with stuff.
Yes.
I have a good friend. He SF in Vietnam, 67, 69, I think. Don't quote me on that. And whatnot. He's told me stories and whatnot. The only reason he's able to tell these stories is because he knows what I did. He can relate. He worked with combat engineers and whatnot, so he think and whatnot. I tell him all the time, well, like, I wish I had this, and it's like I don't. The only reason I have it is because y'all got out there and fought for it.
Sure. Listen, I want to just say it out. So I'll say it to the camera instead of just saying it to you. I cannot express enough how much I thank Vietnam veterans for our healthcare system. If it were not for any of the Vietnam veterans out there or any of you that know Vietnam veterans, you should thank them as veterans yourself because they have literally paved the way for the healthcare system that we have today. So whether you hate us or love us at the VA, I will tell you that our healthcare system is very, very, very good at doing a lot of things. And the only reason we're so good at doing those things is because Vietnam veterans fought so hard to be heard and to be taken care of, and they paved the way for our generation. And so a huge thank you. Like I couldn't imagine having a worse healthcare system, but I know that we would if it wasn't for the Vietnam veterans. So thank you so much.
And the next war that we ever have, whether it is World War III or something stupid, I guess.
Yeah.
Their health care and all that will be because of what we fight for today.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to recognize.
Absolutely. Great. Well said. Matter of fact, let's end on that note because we've already run like super over, and I have to do way more editing because now you've cussed my podcast.
Of course. Always.
Just kidding, man. You got to expect it from a combat veteran at some point, right? Listen, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. That's all we got for you. Thank you so much to Kenneth for coming in here and talking about the PTSD Foundation of America. Listen, I said it in the beginning, but I'll say it again. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You're helping us out. Leave comments down below. I respond to every comment. It's taxing, but I do respond to every comment. I love you guys. I want to talk to you. I want to have open communication with you. If you agree, if you don't agree, whatever, put it in there. And listen, I just want you to know and remember that no matter how bad things seem to be, just Charlie Mike.
I believe what I at least I got something left.